All right. Let me just make sure you can hear me. I just got to make sure that audio, everything is working. Just got to make sure you can hear me. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. All right, great. Let's wait. Let's see here. All right, great. Yes, you can hear me. That's fantastic. So, welcome to Man of Prestige Live. It's the first of its kind. We're gonna have some fun. All right, we're gonna have some fun. Let me just take this out really quickly. Boom. We are. What's going on? Welcome. All right. So my name is Ola. I'm the creator of this platform, Man of Prestige. All right. And the idea is that we're on a journey together. The idea is that we want to learn from each other. I'm not necessarily the man of prestige. I'm one of hopefully. Okay. If you're here hanging out with me and you're a man, you are a man of prestige because there's a reason why my message, all my rhetorics, all the way I break things down, there's a reason why it resonates with you. Okay. Now, if you're a lady and you're hanging out with me, you're welcome as well. I just want you to relax, have a good time, and just see how typical men of prestige will move in society, how they engage, how they talk, how they interact with each other, even in disagreement. But we're all growing, we're all learning. There's an evolution going on, as you can see, and it is what it is. We find ourselves in the midst of what seems to be like a gender war, but that's not the only type of war that exists. There are many other different ways. There's disagreements everywhere, and things like that. So without any further ado, there's a couple of things that we're going to do. We're going to talk about Tariq Nasheed versus Nigerians. I am a Nigerian by heritage, born in the United States, raised in Nigeria, spent most of my life in the United States. It is what it is. I didn't create that necessarily. It's just the trajectory of my life so far. I'm a 42-year-old man at this point in time. I am a very happy man. I'm happily married. And, I've had some adversities in life. I've also won a lot in life. So I kind of have a best of both worlds in terms of living in the worst part of the world, living in the best part of the world, having both. So I can see. So a lot of times it may sound like I'm talking from both sides of my mouth. That's okay. Okay, I want you to make that okay. I'm sure you already made that okay. That's why you're here, right? I just try to understand. I try to see the good in everything, no matter what the situation is. Now, I didn't fall out of the skies like that. I've also had experiences that would make me want to think in absolutes. But I've also learned that in the long term, that's not the way to move. In the short term, it may feel right to just be absolute. Everything is this way, right? The way you see things, right? But in the long term, I've learned that things can vary. So without any further ado, let's do some quick intro. Just keep in mind that I always allow masculine women to handle feminine men. Okay.
Hey! Quit! Hey! Quit! Hey! Quit! Get off of me, nigga!
Help me,
What's
yo.
wrong with you, nigga?
Come on, where my glasses?
Get off of me before I jump your goofy ass again. Now beat that, bitch ass nigga. Pay for this shit. Hurry up.
No,
Pay
come
for
on.
that shit and hurry up before I drop your
Yo.
ass again. Touch me, then I'm
Yo,
gonna drop
stop
you.
video for they
Quit
help
touching
me.
me.
You got my key.
Quit touching
Somebody
me,
help
bitch.
you.
No,
Somebody help
come
you.
on.
All right. To say that more accurately, right? Feminine men will always attract masculine women. It is what it is. I didn't create that. Look at your results. Look at what's going on in your life. If you find that you often surround yourself, even if it's a show, right? Even if it's engagement on the show, on Clubhouse, if you find that you often engage masculine women, something about you is feminine. I didn't create that. The sexual polarity, it is what it is. If you look at magnets in physics, in science, we don't create that. It's just the way it works in this life, right? And we're going to talk more about that. Just keep that at the back of your mind. And shout out to Lead Attorney. I'm going to be using this drop sometimes. right here.
Thank you so much. The man of prestige. Shout out to my man Ola. Ola came up here and talked about the sign language, gave us his impression and gave us his speech on what he thought sign language was.
Right. So yes, the sign language, body language. I'm going to read people. I'm going to read their body language, including that of the lead attorney himself. And the Lapeef Network, all those guys on there. Some of you are here because you've seen me on those platforms when I called in. And that's, we'll continue to evolve, right? I'm still learning, I want to get straight to the point now. We've got a few things I want to cover. I think the first thing I should probably cover today is Meagan Good, right? So what you can see is that I'll try to come here live, maybe Thursdays or Fridays. I'm feeling on this whole thing. Just know that for the gentlemen, okay, I have 100 videos on this platform right now already, okay? They are brand new. I created them for you. We're going to be talking about social skills, emotional intelligence, social skills, emotional intelligence, right? Something that if you are an extremist, you would probably refer to it as simpish behavior, but precisely reasons why you won't get laid if you don't learn how to move. Either you're in a marriage or not, okay? You're going to be lonely. You're just going to be bitter or come off as bitter, which means you attract masculine women even when you don't intend to. Intentions are overrated. You're going to see me say some of these things over and over again. And please feel free to push back at me, okay? Because that's how I learn as well, right? When I first came into this space where men are just talking on the YouTube, some things were weird to me, because frankly, the school of thought that I came from, we don't move. We move like kings, right? We don't argue with women, right? If we argue with women, we knew that we already fucked up at that point in time. If we ever find ourselves in a space where we'll argue with women, we knew we point the fingers back at ourselves, right? Not necessarily guilt, because the problem is that a lot of people start to feel guilty and then they overreact in the name of trying to be alpha and masculine. So, but today, I think we're talking about, like I said, we're talking about Meagan Good, okay? We're also going to talk about Tariq Nasheed, this gentleman right here, versus the Nigerian people. There was a big battle that was trendy all over Twitter that went down, and between him and I think he has a movement called the Foundational Black Americans and Nigerians in America. And there was a lot of things there, and I saw a few things. There's some clips I'm going to play back here that I feel like we should assess together. I want to know what your thoughts are. Either you're watching me live or you're watching a rebroadcast. I want to know what your thoughts are. There is battle everywhere. There's a war everywhere. There's tribalistic war in nations around the world, in America, in Nigeria, in Africa, in the Caribbean. And again, sometimes I may sound like I'm talking from both sides of my mouth. That's because I understand both sides. Not necessarily I understand both sides. I try to understand both sides. So there's nothing I say on this platform that would be absolute at all. Okay? I won't say anything that's absolute. Let me just go back and... I won't say anything that's absolute on this platform. I would, in fact, ask questions. I want you to enlighten me, because that's how we learn together. All right. So with that being said, without any further ado, I'm going to share some videos, and then we're going to start talking about it one at a time. Let's see here. The first one that I have here. Let me play this right here.
Be open to visiting Lagos anytime soon?
So, at least for some prepaid minutes. But go ahead.
Yeah. Would you be open to visiting Lagos anytime soon? I'll pay for everything. You visit Lagos, Nigeria. Yeah? Now,
I might want.
Okay, I want you to visit Lagos, Nigeria, because there's a place in Yaba called Yabalet. It's a hospital, a mental hospital. I think you need to get checked into that hospital. Okay. Have a nice day.
And that type of humor is at least for some prepaid minutes.
Yeah.
All right, all right. What's going on, Just Jay? What's going on? Hey, feel free to come up with me. You are the number one supporter of this platform. So thank you so much for always supporting this platform. As you know, we're just getting started. So thank you so much for that. Yes, that was a clip right there. Let me actually make sure. See, I got to get used to the platform too. I got to make sure that I let people know what I'm talking about. Just Jay, thank you so much. Yes, that's me. And we started to do some live session. This live session will also represent my taping session. So some of this clip will be chopped up later, the reaction videos and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm a very busy guy, I'm a businessman. I run a few other businesses, so I have to do things in a very streamlined way where we can still take advantage of the conversations, having the conversations, talking. This is precisely why I couldn't go behind the scenes of all those other platforms and sit behind the scenes for 2 hours just to say two statements. Like, it didn't make any sense. It wasn't worth my time after a while, you know. So, but yeah, let's get back to the conversation. So this was somebody throwing a sign language at Tariq Nasheed. Now, here's the thing. When people talk about the sign language, what is it? Shame, insult, guilt. Shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. Usually when that comes into conversation is because both sides are playing that role of the sign language. And they are very, 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 very disingenuous. The buzzword about that, right? In fact, the one that says it first is usually the one that's actually speaking the sign language, right? Including goddamn Kevin Samuels, right? He's the first usually to throw the sign language and then accuses people of it. And then, you know, of course, when you're in the conversation and you're emotionally charged, you're not supposed to see that because you're just as weak as everyone else in the argument. This is why I couldn't argue with people or engage certain level of energy because when two fools are playing in the rough, people looking from outside can't really tell the difference, you know. And this is not intended to be insult at anyone. This is just something I want you to start paying attention to if you come to this platform. Again, I will tend to speak from both sides of my mouth. Something that if you're an absolute weak person, you may consider being a simp. But it's okay. We're going to have this conversation. I'm going to keep my foot on your neck while we continue the conversation so you can stay in the conversation and respectfully. All right. So I'm going to play the clip again. Right. What happened? Let me tell you what happened. First of all, who is Tariq Nasheed? Right. Let me go ahead and pull up some of the stuff that I have here about him. It's this guy right here. Essentially, it's this guy. This guy right here. All right. That's him right there. I'm not too sure about his movement right now, the foundational Black American thing, but I know that it sounds almost similar to the ADOS, which is ADOS is American descendants of slaves, right? So I am not any one of those things. You know, I am an American by birth. Most people will assume I am American by naturalization because of my accent. I was raised in Nigeria. Nigerian parents. I identify as a Nigerian because that's what I knew in my developing years. However, I spent most of my life, my first 3 years in life and the last 23 years of my life. I'm a 42-year-old man right now. I spent it in the United States. I'm still here. I go to Nigeria. I could consider it quite often, not in a little while now, but I go quite often. I try to. So I can understand both sides of the argument. And what happened today was that there was a conversation that went down on Twitter. I'm going to play some of them for you. Then I'll play and then I will give Tariq Nasheed the last word. In my opinion, this man is coming off very feminine. Okay, very feminine energy. But I say that very loosely. Okay. Because he's not necessarily interacting with women. So it's kind of hard to bring in the feminine masculine energy thing when you're not interacting with a woman you're romantically involved in. So I put a cap on myself like that. But I'm just letting you know the energy seems a little bit all over the place. He started to speak sign language himself if he doesn't get his way. In fact, some of the things I saw was him muting people on Twitter space in the middle of the conversation. At the last submission, when he doesn't agree, he would just mute them or talk over them, you know. And That's some of the things that's creating some of this gender war, you know. Now, all of us, we get in our emotions sometimes. We all do that, right? We all get in our emotions. So, let me just go ahead and share a couple more things here with you to really so we can get to know who this guy is. Okay, I think that's another picture of him right here, Tariq Nasheed, right there. All right. So now let's look at some of his background. Right. I'm gonna play. Let me see here. All right. So I picked this up from his. I actually picked this up from the Wikipedia about him. Now Wikipedia is not all the way reliable. This is what is all. Like if you care about your personality online, you would you would obviously want to look at what is being posted out there about you, right? So now this experience, we're going to get better with it, but let me just read this to you. Nasheed began his career as a dating expert under the pimp-like K-Flex persona before transitioning into documentary filmmaking. Many of his dating books give instructions on how to be a pickup artist. So being a pickup artist and being a man are two different things. Hello, right? Being a pickup artist and being a man are two different things. Okay, being a pickup artist is more skewed in the direction of manipulation and short-term results. Being a man, okay, or the journey of being a man of prestige is more so both short-term and long-term reward, both in terms of relating with a young lady in a romantic way, or even engaging in business conversations in real life, right? Essentially social skills, emotional intelligence for short-term results as well as long-term results. Pickup artists is more so about long-term results. So people that are pickup artists, they tend to, or they learn that kind of stuff, they tend to engage in a way to get short-term results only, and it reflects later on. A lot of them are still very, very feminine men, which is why they have a hard time retaining long-term relationships with a typical woman. All right, no shots. It is what it is. Just look at your results, and then we can continue the conversation. Nasheed produced the 2011 documentary film Hidden Colors. So he's known kind of like a film producer as well. Okay, so Nasheed took issue with the LGBT branded sandwich that's been sold by supermarket chains, Marks and Spencer's, during the Pride Month. Okay, so his political rhetoric, you know, he's loud, he's saying a lot of stuff out there, right? There's another one here that I wanted to pull up here that says a little bit more about, you know, maybe somewhat his personality or so, you could call it that, right? Nasheed is known for his use of the term bed wench. I've never heard the term before. There's a lot of terminologies that are being used that I usually have never heard before, but I'm learning. As you know, and you get to teach me in the comment area. Please, if I say anything that's not making sense to you, enlighten me, and that's how I also engage you, and will continue to engage the conversation. Nasheed uses the term to refer to black women who date interracially. Okay, so typically when the person has problem with interracial relationships or intertribal relationships, or they tend to show that behavior in a lot of different aspects of life. Okay, so if he has problems with interracial dating, there is a good chance, right? Thank you, Just Jay. I appreciate you. There's a good chance, right, that he will have problem with anything that crosses the line of what he can identify with. Okay, it's not just black Americans. Nigerians even do this the worst. Okay. But it's basically human. It's a human behavior, right? Whatever we identify with, if we don't have self-control, we can't tell when we start to have intertribal problems, interracial problems, when we're being racist ourselves, right? We have a hard time holding ourselves accountable. We can't see what we can't see because that absolute filter lens is essentially what we see life with, right? And that becomes a problem in a world that we know is only moving in one direction. Everyone is mixing up. It is what it is, okay? Now, with that being said, I'm also aware that they fight back and they push back at mixing up. It's a necessary aspect of things, okay? Or necessary aspect of growth. It's growing pain, you know. Now, with growing pain, you can call it war. There's going to be casualties. That means a lot of people are going to be left hanging, not getting married, or missing out on important relationships in life, business relationships, personal relationships, a life itself, like even including relationships with your siblings, because maybe they have a different ideology in how you think and you have very low tolerance. You will tend to have this problem in every aspect. You will lack peace in your personal life, and you will tend to blame other people for that, by the way, usually. All right, so let's keep it a buck. So that's what Tariq Nasheed is. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back and play some of. So I want to play a couple more clips. Let's go ahead and share that. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So, all right. I'll come back. So there was there's a battle of foreigners, not necessarily Nigerians. Nigerians were like Indians. We're like everywhere. We're like Chinese people, right? The only problem is that we're black. Not the fact that we're black, but we carry the curse. We love the fact that we're black. Of course, I am black and proud, right? I'm not one of those people that say black culture is trash. Please, I don't say that. It's a ridiculous statement from an Anton Daniels, who is actually an authority in this space, okay? But that's his opinion. I can respect his opinion. The other thing about opinions is that people, again, personalities are involved. So I can bash the talking point. I can't bash the person, because some of my opinions may be flawed too. Remember, I told you I may tend to talk from both sides of my mouth sometimes, because naturally I can see the good in everything. We need an Anton Daniels in this space to keep the foot on the neck of the men that tend to be in their feminine in every conversation in the name of being masculine. I am one of those people, and I intend to keep my foot on the neck of feminine men, because it's not conducive for the society that we still live in right now. We need men to be in their masculine. What that means in a lot of ways is that you have to have self-control, even when a woman is triggering you. Okay? A woman will always shit test you. It is what it is. Like, stop bitching around social media about that. We're going to talk more about that. Okay? Now, when I say this directly to most men that are in this space, when I say it directly to them, they tend to want to overtalk me. I don't have the bandwidth for overtalking. I just don't. I don't have time for it. I'm running businesses. I'm busy. So what I can do is create this platform where people that wants to learn can come and start learning and stuff like that. Now, if somebody wants to engage me, a few people have engaged me in this space, and they do a good job at it, including the lead attorney, including even Anton Daniels, including JR from Lapeef Network, including the Sir Hales of this world, right? Sir Hales, shout out to you, by the way, is the second most biggest supporter here. So thank you, Sir Hales, right? But being able to engage is a big part of this, right? But I also get the banters. I get it. The banters, the fun, and all that kind of stuff. We need those kind of things. But anyway, back to what I was saying. This guy, the behavior is everywhere. Nigerian, they behave the same way. They start to use rhetoric like, oh, is it because, then, black Americans will say, you're taking our jobs. Okay. Tariq Nasheed, right? See, Tariq Nasheed, right, will claim that I'm not saying that. Okay. But a lot of people that are following you are saying it. They're getting that from somewhere. They're getting that interpretation from somewhere. Okay, it's not your fault. It is what it is. But just keep in mind, you're also potentially responsible for the rhetorics that your message is creating out there, right? But again, back and forth everywhere. So let me play this clip, right? And then I'll come back to some of them real quick.
By that, there's no fear in that. We don't fear you. We're the ones who helped get you over here. I don't want to hear about all of this. You got all this education, and we're sitting here with no education. Family, if you had all of this education, how come you're not applying that in your homeland? I don't want to hear about the government. The government over here is way more oppressive, and foundational Black Americans stand up to this government. That's why foundational Black Americans are the face of Black people globally.
So Nigerians or foreigners, Africans, when they are engaging these conversations, many of them are punks and stupid too. As a matter of fact, I've never engaged on Clubhouse or YouTube. I've never engaged anybody directly in this kind of conversation. Conversations about ADOS or reparations. I try not to engage in such conversations the same way I don't engage in conversations about the LGBTQ rights and all this kind of stuff. It's just not my experience. I can't speak to stuff that's not my experience, right? And if I'm going to speak to it, I have to make sure that I'm coming from a place that I'm willing to learn. I'm listening. Infinite patience, right? I cannot approach this with any level of arrogance. An average Nigerian that's engaging this conversation, they are precisely engaging this conversation from a place of arrogance. The same thing that the other side also does, which is why they go in this rabbit hole and they compete with each other on who's right, who's wrong. Again, we forget that we're speaking the sign language when we're doing this. The need to be right part of it. Everyone has the need to be right or to be validated by the other person. And it's problematic, right? So Nigerians will say things like, oh yeah, but we're chasing after survival. That's why we're here in the United States, right? They will say things like that. And then Black Americans will receive that as an excuse, right? That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. All we're telling you to do is, you know what? I don't know what we're telling you to do. That's how I receive it when I'm listening. I do listen to the conversations, but I can't tell precisely what Black Americans would want Nigerians to do. It's a lot of talking in circles, right? So now I have to basically create what I am guessing they want us to do. Shut the fuck up and listen. That's about it, right? So guess what? Since it's not my experience anyway, I just kind of shut the fuck up and listen, right? Now, what I can pick out of this is body languages and sign language and say, hey, human behavior in general, how we move, because we're not going anywhere. We're going to be in each other's world. There are Black Americans moving to Ghana and buying houses as we speak right now. We're going to be in each other's worlds. That's the realities. That's the future. There's going to be a lot of biracial people around the world. It's just, that's the trend. We're not going to change that. My children, I have 3 kids I'm raising. They are being raised in the United States. They are going to be Americans, have American experiences. And there's no way around it. It is what it is, right? Just Jay says, right, I talk from both sides as well. Yes, from both sides of my mouth. As a man, a lot of people refer to you as a simp for doing that because they consider you're not holding a stance, like you're not standing on something. I consider it self-control. I consider you the simp. If you don't know how to see good, if everything you see is just red everywhere, if all you see is red flags everywhere, that's weak behavior. That's a weak man, and that's more so of a simp for me, you know. But we'll talk more about that as time goes on. So as you can see, he was busy talking about all the things that's heard as excuses here. People tend to, when you talk or you engage them, you tend to potentially make mistakes. Like, for example, what I'm saying right now, somebody's going to hear something that they will take an offense to in it because they see red in everything, right? So he sees red. He says, so when people start to explain themselves, it's because we have bad government in Nigeria, in Africa, we have bad leadership and stuff like that. They come back and they use it to shame you. Sign language, right? They use your same talking points. They use it to shame you, right? The way I was raised is mostly women that I see perpetuate this kind of behavior. Okay, it's a feminine energy type of thing. If she doesn't have the masculine structure around her, and or maybe there's a feminine energy from a man that mixes with a typical woman in this social construct, it creates chaos, right? And then she will use all your rhetorics, all your talking points to shame you. There's also the topic of should men cry in front of women. I say, listen, it depends on what the hell we're talking about, right? Should a man cry in front of a woman, right? It depends on what we're talking about. If she's complaining about your bitch moves, no, that's not the time to cry, right? If she's complaining to you about your lives together in that romantic relationship, no, you don't want to be crying at that point in time. She's crying, you're crying. Like who's the female, right? If she's confused about that, she cannot respect you. If she can't respect you, she cannot love you. She damn sure cannot be in love with you. She will have low. She will interest in you will grow lower and lower, right? Am I giving excuses on her behalf? Whatever. I'm just telling you what is, okay? You're going to create the result you're going to create in this social construct, which wasn't built in the last 100 years. So at most, you're going to live maybe 100 years, right? Average 72 years, right? So in this lifespan that you have here, you're about to change the nature of a woman. It's a losing battle. You're swimming against the trend, right? The social construct we have right now was built over time, maybe 1,000 years up to 5,000 years. So if you're going to change anything, you're going to come from a place of patience. At least be humble, right? And you can still be assertive within that space and say, this is how I like things. And then she can respect that. And then when she can respect you, she will tend to fall in love with you. That's how it works, right? And it's not about right and wrong. You could be right all you want on your own right. As a matter of fact, when we look at it, like from a logical, factual, statistical standpoint, you're absolutely right. But you're attracting disrespect from women. So you're a loser effectively. And we have to focus on results as men. So does that mean you have to simp and be weak? No, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm saying you have to be patient. I'm saying you have to make sure that your message is being germinated properly, that is being sown on the right ground, a person that's willing to receive it, right? So that's what he's doing here. He's just talking in circles, and he's basically sign languaging Nigerians with stuff he's heard as excuses. Yes, Nigerians, or not just Nigerians, all of the different things that makes up what we call America today, or United States, are people moving from different places for a greener grass, right? And yes, sadly, the foundation of Black Americans, as he calls it, right, or the aiders, or the descendants of slaves, were used to build this platform that we're all benefiting from. So much respect, much humility is required when you engage this conversation as a Nigerian or as a foreigner. That's not common sense. Common sense is a terrible guide to life. Common sense, there's a lot of smart people. You know, as you know, I'm going to play a clip here in a second. Nigerians are some of the most educated people. 4% of them have a PhD, according to this clip I'm about to play in a second, as compared to the general American society, which is only 1% that has a PhD. So they are highly educated. But I know too many highly educated people that are very unwise, that lack emotional intelligence. I know way too many of them, right? They disconnect when it comes to emotions, right? And then they call it logic. They call it facts, statistics, essentially recorded old data, forgetting that what creates those data is emotions, greed, fear. You and I, the way we behave, our personalities, all of this temperament, anger, right? Emotions is precisely what creates all of the data that you're regurgitating all over the place, right? So, like I said, much humility is required when you're engaging conversations with people that see things from the opposite end or from a different perspective. We're going to talk more about this. Let me not waste too much time on one clip.
Globally, because they see we challenge such a mighty oppressive system, and we are a minority here with 12% of the population. And
so now it becomes a competition of the victim Olympics, right? It becomes a competition. Now, like, we're being oppressed here by the U.S. government as well. Well, we're being oppressed by our own leader out there. And then they go back and forth, and it's just a never-ending conversation. And that's what you're looking at here.
we step it up. So when you come over here talking about, oh my God, it was so bad where I was, We had it bad over here. We've had it worse. We were enslaved and sold, Jim Crowed, and we're still being marginalized, shot down by race soldiers, and we still dust off, stand up, and keep going.
So what are we missing here? What are we missing here? What we're missing is goals. What is the goal of the conversation? What is the purpose of the conversation? If we don't know what the point of the conversation is, it's pointless. Then we're just, if the goal is to just talk, I see a lot of this conversation around YouTube. Everyone is talking about the different problems, including myself right now. But I'm talking about the bigger problem. Bigger problem is that we don't set a goal when we're about to engage in a conversation. What is the goal on this platform? The goal on this platform is to mentor young men to learn the power dynamics of what we call life and love, right? To learn how to take a L in a short term in order to take a win in the mid to long term, right? To learn game. When I say game, I'm talking about social skills and emotional intelligence, right? To learn how life operates, to learn that life is fair and unfair at the same time, especially for young men. We have a purpose. So I can always reference back to the purpose, even if we're stuck in the middle of an argument, right? So let's go on to the next, let me go here. All right. So how does Nigerians reply to this? Nigerians, we have fun. See, we could be going through the worst of worst situation in life, right? But we can have fun, right? You can make fun of jollof all you want, right? We're just gonna eat jollof, right? You could call me a simp all day. I would basically say, okay. I may even create a new acronym for simp and then own it and then laugh at you and then win over you and then beat you at every single game, right? There's a saying in Nigeria. They say, "Worry no they carry last." Worry is a city in Nigeria. It's a big city in Nigeria. And but they've translated that to NAIJA no they carry last, meaning we never finish last. Okay? See, a lot of men in this space are just Mr. Nice Guys. They are the good guys. They feel entitled because they are a square. They do everything the right way. They are faithful. You know, they've experienced heartbreak in spite of being faithful, right? They've tried to do the right thing, especially from a quote-unquote logical standpoint. But then a woman still finds a space to break their heart. Now, I am victim shaming potentially, right? But again, do you want to play in the victim Olympics? Do you know that you get to choose as a man, right? Let me be clear. There's a lot of unfair things going on in life, right? There's a lot of things going on in life that you don't get to control, right? But that's precisely the reason why you must engage the things you can control, especially your emotions. And this is not stuff that you can learn in school typically, okay? This is stuff that you learn in action. I can play some examples for you, right? So on both sides, what's a better way to have this conversation? First of all, what's the goals? If we don't have a common goal, we don't fucking have to have a conversation. All right? We don't have to. There's no need. There's more than enough space in the skies for all the birds to fly without touching each other. There's space. There's more than enough space in the sky for everyone to fly without touching each other. Right? Unless we've identified a common goal, and then we can have a conversation. If you're not willing to do that, don't engage the conversation. All right? Don't. All right, so this is what Nigerians would typically do. Just in case you need to get to know Nigerians and you don't know Nigerians yet, this is what they will do. They will make fun of the situation. They will have fun with it. Yes, they can sign language you better than you, especially when you're not self-aware that you're sign languaging as well. It gets worse. You're just going to get butt hurt and you're still going to lose. And yes, Nigerians will come in your space and take over everything, unfortunately, because they're just as dumb without the proper level of humility when they're engaging conversations about ADOS, reparation, or what does it call it? Foundational Black Americans. I don't engage in those conversations simply because I want to stay in the learning mode. If anything, if there's anything I can do, I need to be able to pick it up myself and then help in the direction of reparations if that's what Black Americans want, right? But I do that in silence. I see people go on stages on Clubhouse and say, Nigerians go on stage and say, is there anything we can do? And then they get insulted even more. The more they ask, even though they're coming from a place of good intentions, I always tell men, especially men, good intentions are overrated. It's good, but that's it. Your good intentions is good for you, but they're overrated. If the other party receives it as condescension or sarcasm, then you're still fucked regardless. The conversation is not going to get anywhere. And that's what I see in a lot of these conversations. People, you start to talk, they start to read beyond what you're saying. They start to read that you're arrogant. They start to read condescension, right? They call you out on it. And frankly, there is a good chance you are being condescending. Because if you're wise, you should basically relax and stop engaging conversation that you don't belong in, right? How do I know you don't belong in it? You have not really identified a common goal and you're not focused on the common goal, right? You're engaging people that don't know how to define their common goal. That also tells me more about you. So let me play this. This is what Nigerians do, by the way, when people are having serious talk and it goes crazy and it's chaotic. This is what they do. Did you see that? That's the Nigerians after making Tariq jobless.
Now we dead, now we dead. Now we dead, now we dead, now we dead. Now we dead, now we dead, now we dead. Now we dead, now we dead, now we dead. Now we dead, now we dead, now we dead.
Right? You know, they make fun of it. So we never got anywhere in the first place, right? So it's not just Nigerians versus Tariq, okay? It's in every types of relationship. I know Just Jay is getting ready to dance, right? It's not just Nigerians. We all do it in man versus woman relationships, in the gender wars, in the tribal wars, and all these kind of things. People do this, right? The other party eventually gives up, or the other party gets stuck in being angry for no reason, right? And again, we need to identify the common goal, and that's what we need to be focused on. If we haven't done that, we're going to continue to fail. All right? We're going to continue to fail. So what I want to do is I want to give Tariq Nasheed the last word, okay? And as a man, you're engaged in a relationship with a woman, you need to learn how to give her the last words, okay? Giving her the last words doesn't make you less than. It makes you a leader. Leadership cannot really be defined without service. You can't. Okay? I don't care what kind of book you've read on leadership or anything like that. You can't really define leadership, right, without service. All right? Without being a follower first. See, I see a lot of men want to be leaders, right? They want submissive women, right? And as a matter of fact, I think it's a good time to do a quick recap of what happened on Clubhouse over the last... well, I'll talk about that in a second. You see men come in these spaces on social media, they want submissive women. And they're very loud about it, right? And they can't even engage a simple conversation. Let me play an example. I think this is a good spot for me to play this right now. So this is relevant right now. I'm gonna play a clip. Like literally, Lapeef Network just released it. Now I'm a big fan of the Lapeef Network. A big fan. Okay. I don't know those guys personally, so I can't claim that I like or not like them. I've never been in the same space with them, but I respect them for the platform they've created, because it allows us to see the true colors of the society we live in so we can adjust accordingly. So from time to time, I will do reaction to some of their clips, you know. So instead of me going to hang out behind the scenes just so I can say two words, I just do that here, and then we can have fun there. Fair use. All clips that we use here, we use them in fair use. Just keep that at the back of your mind. All right, so here's the...
Nathan, I just saw it. So when I saw it, it conflict what I see right now.
So let me do a quick setup here, right? Mr. Logic is a guy that's been showing up. Lapeef Network is a platform where they go live. Originally, they go live on Thursdays. I think tonight they have another live session that I can't sit on a 5-hour stream. So I watched it for obvious reasons. I don't have time for that, right? But I watched the smaller clips, right? And so this guy has been on there for a few weeks right now. His name is Mr. Logic, right? I very much enjoy his rhetorics, right? I disagree usually 100% with them, but there again, if you look at results, there's a good chance that our lives are different trajectories, so I can respect his opinions. But just watch what he's about to say, right? He's addressing the ladies, right? And in fact, on this particular, let me say something right now. You can go ahead and watch them. I'll try to put the links to their original videos in the description as I remember, right? All these ladies, right, are typical women in the society. All of them, they represent typical women. When you listen long enough, which a lot of men in this space are not patient enough to listen long enough to a typical woman anymore. A lot of men are in their feminine. As a matter of fact, all of these men are too much in their feminine. Too much in their, all of them, including Lapeef Jr. himself. A few times he's actually said something. Now, he's the one that is mostly in his masculine frame. He's the one with the most masculine frame in terms of relating with the ladies on the show, right? But I've seen him on other platforms. I will react to some of those videos later, right? Where I've seen him showing his true colors, right? But again, it's a man in this society right now, so it is what it is. And they're doing it from a place of they're doing it from a place of a good reason, right? A lot of ladies have lost their role too. They've lost their purpose. A lot of ladies are busy trying to compete with women. They're busy trying to compete in the masculine energy, but it's going both ways, right? It's going both ways. But if anyone is going to claim to be the leader, then they need to lead the dance, right? They need to lead the dance. That's how I see about it, right? So now let me answer this person really quickly. I think this is gonna get fun. Let's see. Common sense is now a superpower. See, clearly this person just joined the live, and I respect your opinion. But even the name says it all for me. All right. Now let me say something about your name. First of all, the name of your platform. Common sense is a terrible guide to life. That's first of all. Okay, first of all, common sense is a terrible guide to life. You know why? Because everyone has the right to claim that they have common sense. You can't take that right away from anyone. So that makes all of us equal. And the truth is that that's not reality. We're not all equal. A man is not equal to a woman, right? And even amongst us men, we're not equal either. There is status. There's my results, right? In life in general, there is so many things that's going on in life, like so many variables. So we're not equal. So when you approach life from a place of equality or fairness, you always lose. You will lose 100% of the time, right? That's one of the reasons why, as black in the world, as Africans, that's one of the reasons why we're losing. We're looking for fairness. We're looking for someone to give us power. And power given is not power, right? Any type of power in this life that has ever existed, empires, Roman Empire, the British Empire, right? Right now, the direction we're moving is the Chinese Empire, right? It's taken, it's not given. If it's given, it's not power. If people can cancel you on those platforms because of your mouth, because you don't know how to talk, you never had power in the first place, right? And Mr. Lee that came on the Lapeef Network in recent times, in the last few weeks, he emphasized that even more. And I respect that gentleman so much, right? He emphasized that more. Like, if you could be canceled, regardless, oh, you're just speaking the truth. Because you're speaking the truth, you got canceled. No, you lack game, and you don't have any power, and you will continue to lose. Not you personally, because I don't know you, common sense, right? But just that kind of game in life where you're looking for fairness. If you're looking for fairness, you lose, right? Women generally don't look for fairness. They don't want fairness. They just want to be women. But if they feel like they need to protect themselves, If they feel unsafe, not secure, the way they're set up, they will try to compete with you, and then that will create chaos, the gender war that you see all over the place. All right, so I'm addressing your name first before I address your comment. All right. So no, common sense is not a superpower. As a matter of fact, it's a sign of weakness. If that's what you engage with to spill or regurgitate your rhetorics, it's actually weakness. Okay, because again, everyone has it. So how do you rise above? The cream always rises to the top. How do you rise to the top if you're claiming common sense like everyone else, right? All right. So maybe I am taking you out of context. It's potentially. So correct me if I'm wrong. Nigerians leave us black Americans alone. I agree 100%. Okay. So I can't engage that conversation with you because you and I don't have a common goal, right? Maybe if you tell me what your goals are, maybe we can have a conversation. But in terms of Nigerians leave us black Americans alone, for me as a personal person, I've never had problems with black Americans. Maybe it's because of the way I move. And most of my black American friends don't have a problem with me. And it's been a minute. I've been around the United States for 23 years as an adult. And the first 3 years of my life, including birth, has been American. And the way this world is set up, wherever you were born, you're basically a citizen of it, right? So I don't know. These two different conversations. We're not aligning there. I can respect your opinion. Maybe this is a conversation you need to take up with people. Maybe some of the dumbass Nigerians out there that are arguing things they don't understand. They're arguing about reparations, about ADOS. I don't understand those things precisely because I don't have those experiences. So I humbly stay back in the gulag, in the audience, and listen until I identify a place where I can help you as my brother and help humanity. So I humbly receive your comment with all humility. So thank you for that. All right, so let's go back to play this clip from Lapeef. So here is Uncle Logic. The same behavior in different dimensions. We talk about the same behavior in Nigerian versus Tariq Nasheed. We talk about the same behavior in men versus women. Talk about the same behavior in this country versus this country. Where basically black people were being stupid. We're fighting each other as opposed to looking for places where we have common goals, where we can join forces to achieve those goals. We're busy being stupid on the social media. And that's okay. I guess that's part of the casualty of what we call life. Life is not fair. It is what it is. But maybe my words can go further into this conversation a little bit further, and maybe we can do a little bit better. All we need is 10%. Like Kevin Samuel will say, right? All we need is 10% of the people to get it right, and then everybody will fall in line, because 10% will tend to lead always. That's never going to be changed. That's never going to change. Okay, a certain percentage will lead the rest of them, right? So 5% versus 95%, 10% versus 90%, or the Pareto principle, 20% versus 80%, right? It is what it is. So Mr. Logic here is running his mouth about how he's not going to be a simp. Anytime somebody feel the need to tell me why they don't want to be a simp, usually they are a simp. Now, I don't know him personally in his personal life to be able to call him a simp. I can't call him names or anything like that. But I know that there are people following this kind of rhetoric in the comment area, and those are the people I'm addressing. You ever find yourself in a space to ask for respect from a woman? You don't deserve, you haven't earned the respect. I'm sorry. Oh, I get it. The community, we need to build the community and check this woman. Well, there's no such thing as community on community. See, now my accent's all over the place. Let me speak my Nigerian accent. There is no such thing as a community without the family structure and without the individuals. So we got to go back to the beginning, right? So if you want to build community, how do the individuals act? Okay. Oh, yeah, we're supposed to hold everyone accountable. No. The best way to effectively hold anyone accountable is start with yourself. You start with yourself. Hold yourself accountable. Okay? Hi, Brianna. I have a feeling there's women that will be coming here that will be taking this conversation to go teach. Here, if that's how it works out, I'm all for it, by the way, because a lot of women are maybe single mothers or stuff like that, and they're looking for a place to plug their children, maybe their boys, on how to be a man. This would be a fantastic platform for that, okay? Because You go to other platform, you're scared of plugging your own children, your sons, because of the negativity. So if that's what it's going to be, then that's what it's going to be. So thank you, Brianna, for stopping by, right? All right. So if you find yourself having to ask a woman for submission, when we know based on data and facts and results around you that women generally want to submit. I didn't say women naturally submit. Okay, actually I said that a few days ago and I had to correct that myself. No, women don't naturally submit. Women naturally want to submit. The wants is the key word. Okay, women naturally want to submit. A typical woman, there are exceptions to every rule. Okay, the typical want to submit. Okay, so if they're not submitting, then there's something is happening with the environmental factors that's making them not submit. Okay, that's typically what it is. Okay, there's something happening with the weather. So the ocean, think about the ocean, right? The feminine energy is a very, very close analogy to the ocean, right? If the weather is not right, the ocean will misbehave, right? But yet, as men, the masculine energy in this universe, we've created a way to navigate the oceans to the land and create a structure around. We build dams, right? And then we learn how to work with the trend of the ocean in our favor, not against the trend. That is just stupid. That's just dumb to work against the trend of the ocean. So if it makes you feel like a simp to learn how to listen to where she's coming from, then you're just a simp anyway. Okay? It doesn't matter. That's just what it is. Okay? All right. So let's get back to this clip right here. I need to finally play the clip, right? All right. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be long stroking like the lead attorney, but that's how this conversation tends to go. Now, I'm going to need all of your support to grow this platform. Okay. Anytime you want to come up, feel free to come up. Anytime you want to engage in the chat, in the comment, feel free. I am learning just as much. I try to come from a very, very humble place. Okay. And that's the kind of vibe I want to bring into the conversation. All right. So he's about to tell us how it's not going to be a simp. If you feel the need to ask for submission, she just doesn't see you deem, that particular person doesn't deem you fit to submit to. It's not a crime. It's just what it is. That's just the result you're creating. If you feel the need to ask for respect, that means you have not earned it, because respect is earned 100% of the time, unless, one exception, unless the person that's respecting you is just giving you a bare minimum respect, like they give everyone else in the world, right? That means they don't know you, right? Like, for example, you're starting to date this young lady for the first time. She doesn't know you. You don't know each other. So it seems like she's respectful. She's submissive, but she doesn't know you. Everyone is going to be placed in a place, in every relationship, will be placed in a place of insecurity, will be invoked, will be provoked at some point, where people don't feel safe, or complacency will creep in, right? We start to get to know each other, right? And then, we start to question each other's motives, or I get in my own place of weakness, complacency, and then we get tested, right? And then now I have to actually earn the respect, especially as a man, right? That's the way these things work, okay? The same thing with trust, right? Trust is a function of consistency, your consistency as a man or as a person, right? Trust does not exist unless we're talking about trust funds, which again, that's a function of money, right? But trust does not exist without consistency over time. Like it's proven, right? That's where trust comes from, right? Trust also can come from knowledge, confidence, right? But the idea that somebody's just going to fall out of the skies and start respecting you, stop it, okay? All right, so let me use this here. Everyone gets respect. Authority is earned. Right, exactly. Except that people use authority and respect it interchangeably, so it starts to become an argument of no, absolutely, you're correct, Brianna, you're correct. Except that it starts to become a question of semantics, right? The meaning of the words and how people interpret them, right? So when a man is asking for "you don't respect me," he's essentially talking about he doesn't feel like he has the authority, right? That's just him expressing his feelings as much as he likes to avoid that he's not in his feelings. We all get in our feelings, all of us. We all get in our feelings, all right? That's why you gotta learn how to have self-control as a man and take your time, because your feelings will creep in very quickly if you want to rush talk or want to bomb rush people and want to, Anyway, I don't want to have this guy's clip on my screen for too long when I'm talking. Let me play it and we'll talk about it.
So when I saw it, it conflict what I see right now. That's all I'm saying, baby. You still cool with me? I give you a thumbs up, and then if I see your videos and I see you fuck up, guess what I'm gonna do in your comment section? I'm gonna say you fucking up.
Wait, back off for a second. I don't know if you heard Kayla say something really quickly there. Right? Did you hear Kayla say something, right? It said, if I see you... Okay, let me rewind it. I want you to listen closely to what Kayla just said right there. Kayla is the young lady, the brown-skinned, beautiful young lady down there, right? Listen to what she has to say really quickly. By the way, it's sign language too. Sign language is everywhere. That's how this platform started its momentum. So we might as well just use it, right? Let's go back a little bit.
We'll say you fucking up.
Let me back up a little bit.
Comment section. We'll say,
wait, let's back it up a little bit.
You still cool with me? I give you a thumbs up, and then if I see your videos and I see you fuck up, guess what I'm gonna do in your comment section?
So he asked a rhetorical question. If I see you fucking up guess what I'm gonna do in your comment section, right? He's talking to this young lady who was a guest, Melanie, right? Melanie was a guest, and Melanie was another character on this particular live stream. I actually caught a few of it, a little bit of it, right? She was called out for not holding women accountable. Unfortunately, later on in the stream, she ended up having to, I don't know if she fell under the pressure, but she tried to hold our fellow women accountable. And from my observation, it completely backfired. The only thing that was created from it was animosity and resentment between these ladies that don't even know each other. But all is fair, right? It's YouTube, right? No one is trying to, hopefully no one is trying to build their character from YouTube, right? But anyway, so after the conversation, I guess, or maybe before, I'm not sure what part of the live stream this is, right? And then he goes, they're basically asking her to hold the women accountable, right? So he's saying that I've seen your videos, and I see you trying to hold women accountable, but it's okay. And she kind of like backed up, like she didn't want to do that on this platform, right? So he's now telling her that I'm gonna hold you accountable. So if I see you fuck up, guess what I'm gonna do? I guess it's looking for answers like, oh, I'll check you, hold you accountable, right? You know that, hold you. I guess it's trying to say that. It was a rhetorical question. But guess what happens in real life? If your energy, because actually, a shout out to Chicago Gorilla, he actually tried to correct them earlier on that if you puff up and you talking like that to women, you're gonna attract certain type of energy. He actually went way over the rest of their heads. They didn't catch that. So here goes him trying to claim that he will remain in his masculine, which is misplaced masculinity, right? Not toxic, right? It doesn't exist, right? Bullshit. Toxic masculinity exists, okay? If another human being can receive it or perceive it as toxic masculinity, fuck your dictionary meaning. Then it becomes the truth, because that's how words evolve over time since the history of mankind. Hustle used to mean stealing. It's no longer stealing. So I don't give a fuck about your dictionary meaning, because very quickly right now, the likes of the lead attorney will come and say, words have meaning. Yeah, shut the fuck up. No, words meaning evolve over time, especially in how it is being used, right? Common sense says words have meaning. Wisdom says wisdom, a function of time, experience, results, right? Says that words can change meaning. If people keep using it the same way over time, it becomes the truth. You know, we've seen it over and over again. And then when we push against that, we create unnecessary arguments. I'm a little long-winded, but that's what we're here to do, right?
I'm gonna say you fucking up.
So I'm gonna say you fucking up. But did you see her respond with a sign language that act a fool? And she was rolling her eyes. If you put yourself in a space, you engage a young lady to the point where she starts to roll her eyes at you. Yeah, you may call it masculine, whatever you want to call it. You can label it whatever you want. Remember, we have the freedom to label it whatever we want. But let's focus on the results you're creating as a man. The kind of energy you attract from women, right? It's a function of yourself. It is what it is, especially within the context of marriage, especially within the context of any form of romantic relationship. I'll give you a pass. I'll give you a pass that this is YouTube. I guess anything fly. But you're going to have to convince me that this is not how you behave in your personal relationships. You're going to have to sell me on that. So Brianna says, yes, I agree. I've noticed that people think they are the same. Yeah. So let's keep playing. So you can see right there, instantly, even as he was trying to prove that he's not a simp, the young lady is giving him the result that, no, actually, you are a weak man. Because results is exactly showcasing that. Does that mean she's not guilty of being masculine? No, that's just not, it doesn't mean she's not guilty. But is it about guilt? No, it's not about guilt. It's not about guilt. It's not about shame. It's not about condemnation. It's not about, what's the other word? It's not about faults. It's not about right or wrong. I'm just looking at the results you're creating in a social construct, right? When I'm not bragging. I'm sorry. I don't mean to brag. But if I enter any kind of room, there's a certain level of respect that I command. Typically, okay? Unless I don't read the room or I have a different agenda. Okay, sometimes I would enter a room to get some attention and kick against everything that's going on in there. It's called pattern interruption. It's part of marketing. I would do that sometimes intentionally. But again, I'm thinking long term. I'm not looking at the short term situation, right? That's all part of game, right? But typically when I enter a room, both men and women, they may not like me, they respect me. It's because I earned the respect. Okay? Now, if I engage like Brianna said, right? If I engage a person on an individual level, they may have chosen as a person to give me just bare minimum respect that cordial respect that you give anybody just because she's nice. Maybe some people will claim she's in her feminine, right? Or femininity, right? Maybe that, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about me, the way I move, me as an individual, holding myself accountable first before I start to try to hold other people accountable, right? The way I engage my power is my leverage point, my best leverage point is to focus on the guy in the mirror. Am I holding myself accountable? First, it's the way I move, especially if I consistently tend to attract the same energy.
And I'm not gonna be a simp ass nigga that say, oh no, I'm gonna tell you fucking up. Now,
when somebody says, I'm not gonna be a simp ass nigga, I don't know how to speak the ATL accent, sorry. There is a good chance, not an absolute. I'm just saying, he would have to prove to me that he's not a simp now, suddenly. Because anything you focus on, anything the mind focuses on expands. It doesn't matter what you want or what you want to be or what you don't want to be. The mind doesn't care about the don't part of it. The mind cares about the subject of the matter. I'm not gonna be a simp ass nigga. A typical woman will start looking at you as, that's weird. You're going to attract the energy that simps generally attract. And that's usually a pushback. And you can see that in all of the faces, including Island Girl Q, who tends to agree with them or try. I don't think she agrees, but she tried to understand them. She's a little bit more patient than the rest of the ladies. Try to understand them. But you can read her body language that it's a little uncomfortable for her. Again, what kind of energy are you attracting when you're engaging the ladies? Maybe I'm taking it too far. It's just YouTube. I'm just saying, when we translate this to application in real life, whatever energy that you're attracting, the way you engage your power is to be aware of it and take responsibility for it. It's not a crime. It's just be aware of it. As a man, you're playing a game of life, right? So if you want people on your side, you want your relationships to work in your favor, you got to pay attention to that without worrying about if somebody is signing you or shaming you or insulting you. If they insulted you, you're right. They're goddamn wrong. You're right. But that's not game. Let's not worry about the fact they're right or wrong. If this is a consistent thing that's happening to you, you should pay attention. Pay attention to why are you attracting this kind of energy in this social construct? What are you just going to be like, nah, fuck this woman? No. You're not going to get the result you're looking for because you'll continue to bitch about the behaviors that you can't really control, right? So let's finish it. So he attracted exactly what he deserved. This is what I mean by you attract who you are. Attract who you are, people receive that. But that's environmental factor. That's the weather. That's like the weather. The weather is going to do what it does, right? Because why? That's another human being entirely, right? But if they're too comfortable being around you and coming for you all the time, there's something about you. It's something about you. Or maybe I'm wrong. It's just YouTube. It's not that deep. I would happily agree with that as well. Let's continue.
I look at Kayla eyes and look at K eyes. Because guess what? They know I'm going to keep it 1,000.
I don't care.
All right. And I still love you, baby.
Guess where the manosphere is undefeated? Guess where? In keeping it 1,100. The facts. Truth. You cannot compete with them on that. I give them that 100% of the time. That doesn't change the fact that you're going to create the results that you don't like all the time too. Right? It's just a fair game. You want to be engaged on being right, the need to be right, you win. You're right. Now let's look at your results that you're creating. Data. Are you creating the results that you want? If not, you have to look in the mirror, right? So why is it that they're, in this moment at least, they're being more patient than him? Okay. It's not that deep. Maybe I'm taking it way too deep. That's a stretch.
All right. Go ahead.
All right, let me tell the priest to get the tub in here right now.
All right, so that was that clip right there. Let me just go ahead and spend the rest of this time on this young lady right here, Meagan Good. Let's talk about Meagan Good.
I'm doing Meagan good. I'm doing Meagan good. I'm doing Meagan good.
All right, so let's talk about Meagan Good, right? Meagan Good. I wanted to cover this because this is it has everything to do with what we're talking about, right? That we will continue to talk about. She's not. I hate to say this was predictable, okay? This was predictable, but when I say something is predictable, it doesn't mean I'm always. I predict a lot of stuff, and you will see me predict a lot of stuff on this platform, and then you can probably hold me accountable when I'm wrong. Well, maybe 1% of the time I could be wrong, but I always say human behavior. Humans have patterns. Humans are predictable. Okay, humans in general are predictable, right? Humans in general are very predictable. But when you work on yourself as an individual, you work on yourself, even as a Christian, you read your Bible. You know, I'm not a religious Christian. I'm a church boy. I play the keyboard in church. You can probably see my keyboard behind me too. right? So I have familiarity with the church, but more so from a standpoint of Nigerian churches. But I grew up in church, so I understand the culture. So Black Americans and Africans' way of doing church are very similar in nature. It's a lot of diabolic energy and no, there's no real growth. The only growth that people experience for the most part is just religious belief systems, meaning extremes that are not necessarily applicable in real life, and they can find verses in the Bible to justify everything. When they came out about almost a decade ago, and they were, there's just something that was off. And the part that was really playing to me at that time, right? The part that kept playing back to me at that time was the Bible verse that I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me. I'm not really big on memorizing Bible verse. It's somewhere in Corinthians. It's something about do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. I think it may be 14:6, something like that. But I'm terrible in reciting Bible verses, right? And honestly, to be frank with you, I've never been interested in it because I always looked at people that regurgitate and they're very quick to recite. I always look at them as lame because I always look at them as manipulative. They tend to be off in terms of application. But anyway, I love that Bible verse in particular, which is do not be unequally yoked. And I'm going to come from a different angle a little bit. People think it's one-dimensional. They think it means someone believe in Jesus and precisely Jesus. A lot of the lessons in the Bible are not really particularly for only Christians. They're just life lessons. That book is a solid book, in my opinion, right? As a matter of fact, my family right now, myself, my two boys, and my little baby, we're reading the Bible right now every night. And I just make them read it and then we talk about it. And right now we're in Leviticus, right? And we're starting to talk about some of the things that we see in the Bible. You see a lot of lessons that's about those stories we teach you life lessons as opposed to the one-liners that we tend to run with. So that Bible verse about, let me just make sure I pull it up so I don't butcher it, right? Unequally yoked. That's the beauty again. Unequally yoked Bible. I'm Googling it, by the way. It's getting real here, right? Okay, let's see. Is yep, 2 Corinthians 6:14. I was close. I'm gonna post it on the screen in a second. And I'm not coming from a religious standpoint with this at all. I actually don't like doing that. Personally. All right. By the way, if you ever feel the need to support, that's the Cash App link right there. Let's see, 2 Corinthians. There you go. King James. I'm gonna use King James. The version of the Bible really doesn't matter to me because at the end of the day, again, it's a book that was written for a certain type of people at a point in time, right? There you go. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteous? My interpretation, okay? Some people are going to say this and say I'm creating my interpretation. Yes, God damn it, I am creating my own interpretation. It's my interpretation, not yours, right? Unbelievers meaning believing in the same ideology. If we have two different lifestyles, this verse right here is a beautiful verse because it can mean many different dimensions. It could be religion to religion, which is where most people get stuck. Like, oh, we don't believe in Jesus. If you don't believe in Jesus, well, that's where they get stuck. But it's actually deeper than that, okay? We could both believe in Jesus, go to the same church, under the covering or anointing of the same pastor, but our lifestyle is different. Maybe it's not lifestyle. Maybe it's personality, right? It's not compatible. Or maybe it's temperament. Something is off there. How do we figure that out? Okay, well, people learn that in dating, but people think of dating as everything before marriage, and that's bullshit. Dating is for the rest of your life, even in marriage. You're always dating. And if you don't believe me, stop dating your wife, and let's find out the kind of result you're going to get. Okay? Let's find out over time. Dating doesn't mean you go out to eat. It could mean that. It doesn't always have to be that. Dating is literally, you can bring it down to micro levels. Your active listening skills. Being able to say, hey, that woman yesterday, it's kind of like the same woman in this context, but she may be evolving too. She's just a human being like myself. She's evolving. So I'm always actively listening to her heart, right? Her heart, right? Where she's coming from, her intentions as opposed to the words that may be coming out of her mouth, right? Her words are just as important as where it's coming from, all right? So when I look at Meagan Good, almost a decade ago, and this girl that we've always known as free, what many people may even consider being for the streets because of the way she shows up on social media and all this kind of stuff, right? Which many of them don't even know her, but it is what it is, right? That's what we see on social media, right? But suddenly, this pastor guy, and they're about to write a book and all this kind of stuff. My wife and I wrote a book too, but we wrote a book from a standpoint of 10 years marriage and our stories and our experiences. You can find that at getmymarriageback.com. My wife and I run another YouTube platform that's bigger than this called Lola and Ola. Just so you know, you can find it on the channel page, right? So, so again, we're coming from a place of unity of experience and what the lessons we learned. But these guys just got married and they're launching a book about waiting. The Wait. They call it The Wait, which is a book, I guess, that covers, I've never read it, just to be on the safe side here, right? But it's supposed to be about why it's important to wait, celibacy, right? Being a virgin or wait for marriage, that kind of stuff, right? I respect anyone who wants to be celibate. I respect that. I respect anybody who wants to remain a virgin, right? I respect that, okay? I respect because that's their thing. They're doing it for themselves. Hopefully, they're doing it for themselves. The problem comes when there's entitlement attached to it. The entitlement attached to celibacy and being a virgin comes from the stupid teachings around it that you see all over the internet. Okay? If you, under your undertones, you're telling me that I need to be celibate. Like even with your whole word salad and everything, you spilled everything, all the Bible verses why I need to be celibate. Subconsciously, I will build an entitlement around that. I would think because I'm celibate, I'm a virgin, I deserve the world. I deserve the right kind of girl. I deserve that my wife respect me. I deserve that everything just go in my favor in the rest of my life. And that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Okay? It's very similar to the same entitlement that Mr. Nice Guys, aka most of the men in the manosphere, that they have. It's very similar. They think because they do everything right that somehow they don't have to learn game, right? That somehow they don't have to learn social skills. That somehow they don't have to be emotionally intelligent. That somehow there are no other human beings in this world living their own experiences, right? So when I saw that, the way they came out and quickly released their book, I don't know how much time apart from getting married and the release of the book, but it just seemed very premature. I could have been wrong, and rightfully, because I'm a human being too. But again, humans are predictable. There's some things that you just see that you should just know that this is how this is potentially, most likely going to end up like. Right? So now, did I sit around waiting for them to divorce? Absolutely not. I was hoping they prove me wrong. I was hoping that. So the lesson that I want us to pull out of this is this. Now she's back to quote unquote the streets, not the streets, but at least feeling free, looking like free on social media and all this kind of stuff. She's doing that. She's doing her thing, at least what she's trying to showcase. As a man, okay, as a man, I know, let me tell you this, I know that it's also bullshit, okay? What do I mean by bullshit? Women would generally, if they've gone through this kind of divorce situation, They will try to sugarcoat it. They tend to be vindictive in how they showcase, even though they may be suffering inside. And rightful, sometimes a lot of women have gone through a lot of painful, emotional roller coasters before they pull the trigger on the divorce or check out of the relationship. From the look of things, it looks like she checked out and he filed for the divorce. That's what it looks like, right? But that what I just showed you is essentially the first pictures that they showed on social media, telling you what I'm talking about right now. Women would generally say, I'm going to do the hot girl summer thing after they've gone through a lot of emotional heartache and stuff like that, and then eventually pull the trigger on the divorce, directly or indirectly. And then men would now start their own pain. That's typically how it goes. Right? And this is why, because he typically doesn't see it coming. He doesn't see it coming that she will, like men, when we go to the altar, we mean to stay in that marriage for the rest of our life. We don't necessarily mean to be faithful. I'm talking in general now, right? Or whatever your idea of faithfulness is. But in terms of staying forever, we mean that, right? And a lot of time we may be going through stuff in the marriage, and we may still stay there, right? And just because men don't like the idea of feeling like a failure. They need to feel like the hero, and finishing what you started is usually a sign of that. Okay, that's usually a sign of that. So I just didn't see them align in terms of what I can even see from optics, right? And those things tends to be consistent all the way to the inside. You may say, hey, don't judge the book by its cover. Well, the cover of a book will tell me a lot. Okay? Tell me a lot about what I need to know about the inside. And it usually is very close. It doesn't always mean it's absolute, but it usually means it's very close. All right? So I just didn't. I never saw it. So what is the lesson in this for us? What's the lesson in this for us? I want you to understand that when the scriptures says be unequally yoked together with unbelievers, it means believing in the same ideologies, being aligned in ideologies, in core values. Okay, core values. Not necessarily about the religion. Okay, at least you should try to grab that wisdom from this Bible verse, right? I'm not preaching to you. Matter of fact, I want you to make it completely not religious, right? Just in multi-dimensional ways. We don't align. You should engage and say, hey, if this is a deal breaker for me or not, especially as a man. Okay? All right? And then for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? Righteousness with respect to the core value belief system. Okay? Unrighteousness, not in terms of somebody's going to hellfire. It's with respect to whatever the core values that you're trying to measure against. That will become the frame of reference. Okay? And I just never saw it. I just never believed it. Okay? Could I be wrong? Yes, absolutely. But I'm just saying, start paying attention to things like this, and you will find that human beings, we have patterns. Okay? You will find that very quickly that human beings, we do have patterns. All right? And let me just go ahead and remove this from the screen. All right. Yes, we do have patterns, and you can, if you start looking for it, you see it. But it starts with building yourself. If you have, because the frame of reference is yourself, your lens, the filter that you look at life with, is essentially what you'll be using to gauge these things, right? You need to build your lens and your filter in life. And that's like building yourself. And that's with respect to the social construct that we live in, right? If you're a Muslim person, be aware. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Doesn't mean you can't do it. If you're a Muslim person and you want to marry a religious Christian person, you need to be aware that there's going to be a conflict that will create. You need to be self-aware about that. It's extremely dangerous when you're not aware about that, or even worse, when you're in denial about it. Okay? If you are a person who is an Igbo person in Nigeria and you're about to marry a Yoruba person within the same Nigeria, I'm not saying don't do it. You need to be aware that crossing that line is going to create conflict. And you need to learn how to handle such conflicts because they are coming. See, being two different individuals, just because you're a human being and I'm a different human being, is going to create conflict. You need to be aware of that. You need to be extremely self-aware about that. And if you're not, you're just going to point fingers at the other person in the future. You're going to call them evil. And when you do that, you're effectively pointing 4 fingers back at yourself. We are extremely predictable. Okay? Maybe it's not you. Maybe you're a free-spirited person. You said, you know what? Even though I'm a black American person from South Carolina, I'm about to marry Highland Girl Q from Jamaica, right? You need to be aware that that's going to create a level of conflict. The awareness is 85% of the battle won. If you're in denial about that, you will suffer. Especially, you already know, right? As a man, you will suffer. She may not be able to explain herself why she wants to leave the marriage 3 years into the space. And then you're going to be like, oh, these women. Then you're going to find yourself blanketing women into the same box and bitching around social media like the rest of them. All right. So this is very important things that we'll be pointing out as we go through a lot of these lessons. It won't be your fault either. Remember, it's not about fault. It's not about condemnations. It's not about guilt. It's not about shaming you. It's about the results you're creating within the very short time that we're going to be here. You don't want to be missing out on life and love because you're stubborn about your stupid ideas, your ideals, right? Ideally for you, it's not necessarily ideally for the next person. And you can think of that in all kind of macros and micro levels and things like that, right? So I think it's necessary that I give I wanted to make sure that I give Tariq Nasheed the last word here. Then I want to talk about this guy called Sammie Okposo. Sammie Okposo is a very popular Nigerian gospel artist. I'm going to talk about him in a second here, and then we'll use that to round up. Yeah, please feel free. Let me just go ahead and tell you.
You really have a bug in your ass about having to flee your
1 second.
homeland and not fixing it up and not.
All right, so 1 second there, real quickly. Let me just go back here real quickly. This is what I want you to do right now. I can see that 5 people are watching. I want to say thank you so much, right? It means a lot that you're hanging out with me right now at this moment in time. I do want to build this platform, okay? I do want to build it. I just want to be straight up honest with you. I do want to monetize it at some point. We cannot monetize it until we have about 40 subscribers right now. Just last week we hit 1,000 views. Obviously views over about different 100 videos. We've recorded 100 videos that's already on the platform that we've uploaded that will teach you game, especially as a young man. And if you are a woman, single mother, you have kids, these are videos you can plug your kids on, especially if they're teenagers. These are videos you want them to be learning, okay? Now, so the way we're going to do that, you can join forces with me. Just always make sure you hit the like button, okay? Make sure you subscribe, make sure you're sharing, all right? And engage. You know, the comments goes a long way, just the way the algorithms work, right? And I don't want to just talk because that gets boring. Anyone by themselves just gets boring, right? I will be reacting to tons of rhetorics around the manosphere, around pop culture, trendy topics. You will learn about Nigerian pop culture and trendy topics in the Nigerian around here as well. And you will, if you're a Nigerian and you're in Nigeria, you will also learn about the Americans and the Black Americans and my understanding of what I've seen thus far. I'm only 42 years old, so I don't understand their full experience, but I'm observing. I have the experience of living in the United States, so I can share a lot there. So I just want you to be aware of that. So I wanted to give Tariq Nasheed the last word. I'm going to play this small clip, and then I want you to listen in to the sign languages. Okay? He has a message. Whatever his message is, I cannot dispute it. He's fighting for the and I think he has the right to fight for the things he believes in. I am in full of support of whatever they believe is valuable, or it's the fair thing to do for their generation or their past generation or their descendants. Reparation. I am in full support, 100 support of it, and because that's their experience. Only them can speak to their pain and things like that. But I want to give him the last word in terms of the Bosgbas, we call it, right? The fight between Nigerians and particularly Tariq Nasheed, right? For me personally, I don't have the experience of battle between Black Americans and myself. I don't. I've had the most fantastic experiences relating with Black Americans and white people. Nonetheless, I understand history. I understand the systemic unfairness that's going on, and we all have to keep fighting for that. A lot of places where people miss it is when they take it personally and they forget that these conversations are supposed to be about the systemic unfairness that's going on in the world, and not about you and I as individuals. And maybe that's where I can help and bring people back. Hey, remember, we're talking about the systemic failures, not you and I. You and I, we're brothers, we're sisters, we're each other's siblings, right? We're the same. But there's something systemic that makes something unfair for you. So we can fight together to make sure that there is fairness in the system for you within my bandwidth, because I am human as well, right? So I'm gonna play this right here.
Not getting it popping. The comments as if we are not the ones.
Oh, let me play it again.
How do you really have a bug in your ass about having to flee your homeland and not fixing it up and not getting it popping and having to come over here among foundational Black Americans who put in all the work to make these opportunities available to you? A lot of you just don't want to sit there and admit that, and you know it's true. And I don't want any type of disrespect of foundational Black Americans, because we've suffered and sacrificed so much helping all of these other groups, not just you from the African and Caribbean diaspora, but I'm talking about from Latin America, from Asia, and all of these other countries. Everybody thinks that they can come over, benefit off of us, and then dump on us. And all of a sudden, y'all come over here and you trash foundational Black Americans. That's just not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. And I really don't want to hear any babbling and talking in circles. At the end of the day, you guys know what we're saying is true. We are not mad at you because you're getting a job at Postmates. Y'all, please stop with that jive narrative. We don't care about you driving a taxi. We don't care. We're not threatened by that. There's no fear in that. We don't fear you. We're the ones who helped get you over here. I don't want to hear about all of this. You got all this education and we're sitting here with no education. Family, if you had all of this education, how come you're not applying that in your homeland? I don't want to hear about the government. The government over here is way more oppressive, and foundational Black Americans stand up to this government. That's why foundational Black Americans are the face of Black people globally, because they see we challenge such a mighty oppressive system, and we are a minority here with 12% of the population, and we step it up. So when you come over here talking about, oh my God, it was so bad where I was,
all right, so I'm going to make sure I give him the last word. He's talking about the education and all that kind of stuff, education, and I want to share a clip with you of what he's talking about. If you don't understand the statistics in terms of Nigerians in the United States and their educational level and all, this good old thing, right? I want to play this clip for you, a very short clip, and then I'll give him the last word. I 100% agree with him that Nigerians, stay the fuck out of those spaces if you're not going to humble yourself and just listen to experiences that you know nothing about. You deserve all the sign languages that he shoots back at you, all the insults, all the shame that he shames you, if you don't learn how to stay out of a space where you don't understand what the experience is. But here's what he's talking about in terms of the Nigerian and their high education and all this kind of stuff.
PhD. Country of origin with the most migrants here in the United States. There's a method to that madness, okay? The 2016 American Community Survey, well, it estimates that 380,785 U.S. residents report Nigerian ancestry. But get this, and this is where it gets deep. Please stay with me. According to the United States Census Bureau, 4% of Nigerians hold a PhD. That, folks, is compared to 1% of the general U.S. population. They're way ahead. Also, 17% of Nigerians hold a master's degree and 37% have bachelor's degrees. These are people who are supposedly have no merit. According to data provided by Rice University in Texas, Nigerian Americans, folks, they are the most educated ethnic group in the United States. Sounds like merit to me. According to the Migrations Policy Institute, 29% of Nigerian Americans have graduate degrees. That is compared to 11% for the overall American population. Ahead. And a minimum of 4% of Nigerian Americans are also PhD holders. Folks, that is at least 3 times higher than any other ethnic group in the United States of America. More than 70% of black doctors in the United States are now of Nigerian descent. That brings me to our slay word, macabre, for tending to produce horror in a beholder, folks. If you don't get a sense of macabre from hearing how we are barring Nigerians, obviously, clearly because they are superior performers.
All right, great. So if there's any way what you just heard is going to help the movement, please, by all means, we can engage productive conversations where I can humble myself. I can make sure we have a common goal and we can have that conversation, okay? But on both sides, we got to stay away from all the shaming, the insult. It just distracts from the ultimate conversation that we need to have it. And with that being said, like I promised, I'm going to give him the last word.
We've had it bad over here. We've had it worse. We were enslaved and sold, Jim Crowed, and we're still being marginalized, shot down by race soldiers, and we still dust off, stand up, and keep going. And we look for people who's going to be reinforcements. And if you're not going to be reinforcements, not only not be reinforcements, you're going to come over here and side with the white supremacists against us. And your justification is, well, damn it, I'm doing so bad at home. I got to get it how I live. Well, keep getting it how you live, but we ain't going to participate in that. Anyway, family.
All right, so that was that right there. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next topic here. Let's see here. So this guy, like I said, his name is Sammie Okposo. All right, I'm going to share this this call with you right here. Let's share that. Okay. So that's this guy, the guy you're looking at. I'm going to play this clip and then we'll talk about it. It's a guy, basically what happened. It's a very popular gospel artist in Nigeria. He's well known around the world. He's also friends with the likes of Dietrich, who is an African-American gospel artist. He's friends with a lot of gospel artists here in the United States. They do go back and forth. Both sides of, like, Nigerian music industry has boomed quite a lot in the last Afrobeats in the last 5 years, including also the gospel side of things, believe it or not, right? So he's married. He celebrated 10 years marriage last year, but he was also a playboy in the church. Like, as a matter of fact, there's rumors about his past, having been fired from one of the most popular churches in Nigeria, House on the Rock, for dating multiple chicks in the choir as the music director. So he got fired from the choir. This was years ago, before he became very popular as a gospel artist. And he's a guy that he has 600,000 followers on Instagram alone. But anyway, he was on a trip to the United States towards the end of 2021 and asked this lady to come to the concert. He in the DM. That, according to her, she was asked to come to the concert, and they tried to meet up. She never, she's just according to her, innocent fan. Okay. Bottom line is that she tried to reach out to him since he's gotten back to Nigeria for the past few months, I guess, the past few weeks, and she got ghosted. She got ghosted because she's claiming that she's pregnant for him. Okay. She got ghosted because she's claiming that she's pregnant for him. There's lack of mindfulness and respect on both sides. Absolutely, I agree 100%. Right. So now this lady was trying to reach out to him, and I know, right? Innocent fan got pregnant, right? She wasn't raped, by the way, right? So I guess she was trying to reach out to him, and tried everything, and then eventually she went to this blogger lady who is also a friend on YouTube. She's huge. She has like 1,000 people watching at any point in time. It's called Obodo Oyinbo. And that's why I'm grabbing this clip from. I will try to give her credits in the description later. So she went on this and basically put this guy on blast. As the show was going on, this very popular guy with such a huge platform decided to do his own PR. All right. Why is this related to what we're talking about here? We're talking about how to move as a man in the society that we live in today. Right? Right. So when we're talking about businesses, the greatest of the greatest in this world, they understand the importance of public relations. They don't say, no, I believe in what I believe in, fuck that. Well, if you do that, even if you become the president of a nation, you may not, in a free world, in the United States, you may not be able to use more than one term, because you don't know how to hold your tongue. You don't know how to move within the construct of a society. That may be your calling, just the result you're going to create is maybe one term. And yes, shots fired. Okay. So now he decided to call in because he basically panicked. As the show was going on, as this lady, so after she told her story, this guy called in and decided to, I don't know what he was trying to do, maybe deny, now he's since come out with a public apology, not to her, but to the gospel world at large, to the body of Christ, and to his wife at home. Now the wife, according to the stories, does not have any issues, as in like does not have any children, and they've been trying to have children. That's according to the rumors, right? So now I want to play this for you, and then you hear when a man loses control, when he loses his self-control, just things start to go wrong. Well, let me say this really quickly. As a human being, nobody's asking men to be superhumans. Nobody's asking that, right? As a matter of fact, the idea is to not try to be a superhuman. You will fail 100% of the time when you're trying to be superhuman. What we're saying is that learn how to use the trend of the feminine ocean in your favor. Don't try to be a superhuman. That's precisely what I'm saying. Stop trying to overtalk people. Stop trying to be so aggressive. You're doing the same thing over and over. You're expecting a different result. That's called insanity. Okay? So, and a lot of the pop culture news, you will see all these lessons all over the place, and my intentions is to bring them to light with things that, so the first step in losing control is that you had sex with a complete stranger with no condoms. Listen, I'm not here to preach holiness to you, okay? Nobody is holy. Fuck that, okay? I'm not here to tell you that a man is supposed to be faithful, all this kind of shit. That's bare minimum. You're supposed to be faithful. No one needs to teach. That's common sense. Now, that's common sense. However, part of common sense is to know that humans are humans, and they can find themselves in compromising situation where they will do something that they're not proud of. Every human being will go through this, men and women, right? So you as a man, when that happens, how you respond to it is much more of what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about, oh, you should have vet, you should have been holier than thou, you should have been a nice guy, you should have been an upstanding. No, fuck that. Sometimes we fall short. Okay, as a matter of fact, it's unrealistic expectations for me to expect you that you won't fall short. That's just stupid. That's lack of game too. Okay, so he fell. Okay, he's a human being like the rest of us. Okay, and his history also shows that that's his weakness. He likes the ladies, right? He loves the ladies, right? Even as a man of the cloth, right? He loves the ladies. So, but now he failed at learning how to respond to crisis. crisis will happen in life, conflict will happen in life. It's how you respond to it that we have to kind of pay attention to as men. Okay? The idea of misconstruing the definition of masculinity to fit your own stupid aggressive rhetorics is where precisely you're going to fail. Okay? So he called into this show with the arrogance and basically made a fool of himself. He didn't make a fool of himself for impregnating. He did. You impregnate another woman without your intentions, a person you don't know. Of course, that's boo-boo. You made a boo-boo of yourself, right? But then when you continue to perpetuate the same behavior, you start to dig even further and further hole for yourself. Right? So let's play it. Let's play. So this is him calling into the show. And then you hear the young lady who owns the show responding to him.
Yeah, who is calling, please?
Obodo Oyinbo TV. This is Sammie Okposo speaking.
Oh, hi, Sammie. How are you?
I wish I could tell you that I'm fine.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that. So I believe you've heard the show so far. That's why you're calling, right?
Yeah, I'm really shocked to be listening to this broadcast.
Okay. Can you put your TV or your screen where you're watching down so we can hear you a bit better?
You said you tried to reach me?
Yeah.
So he's asking that did she try to reach him? All right. So when bloggers put out stories, right? We saw what happened with Tasha K over the past few days, right? If those of you that follow her, right? You don't want to lie, right? So you want to reach out to the parties involved to see if they would like to tell their own story. The job of quote unquote journalists of the digital age is to check all sides and to see if people want to put statements out. It's just the right and the fair thing to do, as opposed to what Tasha K did over the past 3 years with Cardi B. You don't want to be spiteful. You don't want to be evil. You don't want to lie. You don't want to perpetuate without paying attention to the effect on other people's mental health, right? So she did the right thing. She actually tried to reach out to him, but he's now asking that, did you reach out to me? But even the way he's asking is like he's coming with this level of authority that he clearly doesn't have. At least he's lost respect, even to his audience.
Yes, I did. I sent you a message. I DM'd you on Instagram.
DM me?
Yes.
But I didn't see any DM from you.
Yeah, I did. I sent you a DM. Check your DM on Instagram.
I didn't see any DM. I didn't see any message.
Okay, so we're here now. African Doll has just told us her story.
Yeah, I heard.
Right.
I mean, I just met the.
So I'm not sure why he called in. Did he call in to deny or to support the story or to say, yes, I know her? I'm not sure, but let's move it forward. I'm going to drag this to the middle a little bit so we don't waste too much time on it.
So every story, there are details and there is evidence, hard evidence. Anybody can get up and say anything. Anybody can wake up and, haven't you heard of people that fabricate stories?
Yeah.
So he came here to indirectly claim, this was on Sunday. By Monday, he had released an apology message to his Instagram, to his 600, over 500,000 Instagram fans. But he came here first to indirectly deny. Listen, as a man, or especially as a business, you allow PR to handle things like this. Okay? PR is a function of time. If there's a crisis that hit your name, right? Something like that, your brand, you need to always remember that heaven is not about to fall out of the skies. When a woman shit tests you, even within the romantic relationship, you need to remember that you're a king and you don't have to respond now. As a matter of fact, response may not be necessary ever. And if it's ever necessary, at least you're coming from a place where you've consolidated your thoughts and make sure that you can put proper statement together. Usually, the most appropriate statement does not even have to involve an apology. Okay? A lot of time, if you look at celebrities, depending on how smart, how good their PR is, they'll put out a statement, and it's just a statement that ends with, we need privacy at this times. Because honestly, they don't really owe the public any kind of apology. The same thing is applicable within romantic relationships. Unsolicited apologies are the worst. Apologies that does not involve change behavior are the worst. How can you have changed behavior if you're very quick to rush to apology? How can you have authentic apology if you're very quick to rush to responding? Why do people respond so quick in the heat of crisis? Because they're overreacting. They lost their frame. And I say, man, that's one thing you don't want to lose. That's something you don't want to lose. You got to stay in your frame as much as you can. I say that because precisely sometimes you will lose your frame. What it's about, is this a consistent behavior? Are you consistently losing your frame? You just always find yourself in toxic arguments with women? That tells me that you don't know anything about women. If I see you in consistent arguments about women, it's directly an indication, an equivalence of you don't know women. And then you deserve every masculine energy that comes from her. I use the word deserve. I'm not saying she's right. As a matter of fact, right and wrong is completely irrelevant to what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the results you're going to create. Okay? So he called into this show basically to say, have you not heard of stories being fabricated? Now, I would hope that after you say that, the next sentence should be like, this person is a liar. But even worse, he didn't really say anything. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not here to victimize anybody.
Yeah.
So everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm not against anybody speaking. Or you can speak, but whoever you are speaking against, whoever you are accusing, whoever you are saying.
Well, just in case you don't know, the platform is called Obodo Oyinbo. Hopefully you can see it on the screen right there. She gets the credit right there, Obodo Oyinbo.
Stop about also have a right to defend themselves.
Okay.
And you that you are the accuser, you need to be able to come forward with hard evidence to prove your case.
Okay, so yeah, you are right.
So this is the part where they call it word salad. Okay, it's just word salad. If you know you slept with a girl and she came out and said, hey, she's pregnant, right? The noble thing to do is to say, okay, you slept with her, you don't really know her. It was an escapade, right? Your moment of weakness, we've all had one. You're human like the rest of us, right? But again, it's about how you respond, it's how you react on a consistent basis that I'm looking at, that you should be looking at as well, right? If she comes on and says she's pregnant, I say, oh, wow, interesting. All right, so keep me posted. We don't know each other. I really, we did what we did, but just keep me posted. And once the baby is here, I will absolutely take responsibility, starting with a proper DNA test, and then we'll make sure that all is well, right? And then you go towards actual authority in your life, especially in the gospel world, and you go have a conversation with a person that can probably help you, because again, it's easier said than done. The last thing you want is for some random escapade from 5,000 miles away to show up as a baby, right? Yes, exactly, right? The last thing you want is to lose your frame and try to. So here's the thing. Thank you for that, Just Jay. What happened is that before he called in, the lady was the one who came out to this lady. She had already talked actually and spilled the beans, right? And now he's saying he deserves his own side of the story. Okay, great. Here we go. Tell your story. You're rambling. Word salad. You're just rambling, right? You're trying to defend when you know that you slept with her. But because you have the need to be right in the short term, as opposed to being patient for 9 months, right? You're trying to basically justify nothing. We don't even know if this lady is trying to slander your name. Absolutely posturing. That is going to be required of a man always. You may call it unfair all you want. That's just that's the life we live in. It is what it is. Now, if you want to change women so they can stop holding you accountable for your posturing, you can call a community living once you become a king. But until then, you're going to have to learn how to navigate that as opposed to trying to be aggressive. So it's aggressively checking this lady, that's the host of the show, and checking her on, did you call me? Did you reach out to me? Actually, she reached out to him. But now a man would know that it's a possibility that I have 600,000 people following me on Instagram that I could have missed a DM. As a matter of fact, let me tell you something. This particular gentleman, because again, I play in church. I'm a music director in church. There was a time we had an event that he was around. I could tell on his Instagram page. I follow him. I'm a fan of his, actually. And I tried to see if I could reach out to him on DM. Maybe we could put a show together here in the East Coast, because that's what they do. When they come around, they have promoters and they go around the nation. There was no reply from the DM because probably it's overwhelming. If you have over 500,000 subscribers, followers on Instagram, there's a good chance that you will miss DMs. But it wasn't that serious for me. I could have found his manager's information and still get it done. It wasn't that deep for me. But the point I'm making is that he should have assumed as a man that it's a possibility that she tried to message me. Just ask the question, did you try to reach out? Okay, you reach out. Okay. The next thing is you automatically by default believe, or stop asking. Stop trying to be aggressive. But he kept on going. Bottom line is that his energy, he's trying to shut down the conversation. See, in Nigeria, here's the flaws with us in Nigeria, right? The culture out there is that you can shut people down. If you're a man of a certain status, you can absolutely, it's called gag order, right? You can gag order people. You can stop them from talking. You can do that here as well, but a lot less. It's a developed society in the United States, so you can't really gag order people. You can't really shut people down. You can try. You can see, I don't know if I played that earlier. Tariq Nasheed was trying to shut people down, but in social media, you can't really shut people down. Worst case scenario, they go start their own platform and they still speak their mind. And if it's fiery or inflammable topic, it's still going to go viral regardless. So you can't. That's why, again, power is a very delicate thing. You have to, as a man, be aware that power is the only thing you can engage, and it's a skill set. You have to continue to learn it because it's a function of the society that you live in at any point in time. So yeah, he tried to shut down the whole thing precisely, and I think that's what you picked up right there. He's trying to pressurize. It's trying to add pressure, unnecessary pressure. But the more he did that, the more he lost. Okay, especially when the public is watching. Let's keep going.
Right. But I mean, this is what African Doll has said. She said she messed around with you and there is a baby in the process as a result of messing around with you. And that you have blocked her, she's not had any contact with you, and you basically told her to get rid of it.
Okay. You see, my joy with things like babies and pregnancy, we're not in this village. We don't come from the zoo. Medical science knows how to sort all of that out. So I'm not even going to have a headache over the fact that she said.
So he said medical science is going to sort it out. That's something he should have said a few weeks before he blocked the lady, right? He doesn't need to say it. There's a lot of things that you don't really need to say in life. Not everything needs to be said. That's why I keep saying. Men that lack self-control, right? They tend to think that they have to say everything, right? They tend to think that that their power belongs in them responding to everything in words. The most power you're going to have in life as a man is going to be within the space of silence. That's it. I know. It's not common sense. I get it. It's wisdom. It's a little bit deeper than wisdom, as a matter of fact, because a lot of people can claim wisdom as well, including myself, right? Right? When you lack self-control, you feel the need to gag other people as opposed to let the story run its course. Heaven is not going to fall out of the skies. Relax. The panic attack is going to come naturally because the last thing you want is for your family to break down. I get it. But you're still going to be held accountable to how you respond to crisis. Precisely. So what he should have done is listen to the whole show, have an immediate emergency meeting with his PR, no rush, give it 7 days, let the show run its course, lay low somewhere. It's just news. You're going to get more downloads, streaming. Music is everywhere on the internet. Beautiful music, gospel music, right? As a matter of fact, I'm promoting him as I'm speaking, right? Inspired music, right? Some people say, like, oh, can we separate the minister? Well, the public is not going to be able to separate in the short term. In the long term, the public will separate. You saw it happen with R. Kelly. They will separate the hard work from your behavior in the long term. And as a man, you need to learn how to be patient with the world, the feminine energy of the chaotic world that we live in. You have to learn how to be patient with that. Very, very important. Okay? It's very, very, very important because shit tests will come to you all the time out of your own personal doing, something you're guilty of, and some, if you're a great man, out of just the nature of the beast. People are going to try to pull you down the greater you become. That's real life. And you're supposed to know that as part of the power dynamics of the world that we live in. So, key thing that you need to learn is how to respond to crisis. How to respond to conflicts, right? So anyway, he continued to try to pressurize the host of this show. He continued to show more of the energy was speaking louder than his words. His words had no substance because it's basically just saying nothing except trying to pressurize her to shut up, right? But let's keep going.
There is a baby, and the baby is supposedly supposed to be mine. Medical side will sort it all out.
Okay. Can I ask, do you know this lady?
I know her, of course. Have I told you that I don't know her? No.
Okay, wait. She asked, do you know this lady? It's a straightforward question, right? It is women that will answer the question the way you just answered the question. No disrespect to women, but that's expected from a feminine energy. If I said, do you know this lady? If your answer is, did I tell you I don't know her? That's feminine energy, especially when you're relating with a woman, regardless if it's your wife or not. Okay? Yes, precisely. All right? It's a straightforward question. If a woman asks you a question, right? I always teach that you should answer the question, but also respond with a question, but not just some random stupid question, condescending question, or rhetorical question. It has to be a quality question. And you cannot ask quality question if you're not patient, if you're not relaxed into your masculine frame. You can't ask. So another thing about masculine is that don't put yourself in a position like this. Don't put yourself in a position where you're already lost. If I were him, I would watch it. I fucked up. I gave somebody belle, right? We call it in Nigeria. Meaning I impregnated somebody, right? But I would watch that show. My heart would be beating fast. I'll be human like everybody else. I'll be like, shit, I fucked up, right? But I would not respond to anything on that same day. I will sleep over it. I guarantee you we're all going to wake up tomorrow. Then I will have a meeting. And then we'll move accordingly. But because you're a content creator, inspiring content creator, content that has inspired people, that lives beyond you, you can't lose. Just relax. You can lose in the short term, but that's okay. You're just being human. But in the long run, you can't lose because this content continues to speak life to other people. I could play his music right now. The only reason why I won't play his music right now is copyright. Copywriting issue, right? I could play his music and I'm still inspired because that music is inspired by God and not him, right? And not his behavior, just being human. But he doesn't get that as a king, right? And a lot of people fall into the same trap all day long. They make the same mistake all over and over again. I would sleep over it. I will have a meeting with my PR and then I will prepare for the backlash that will come. and then I will enjoy all of the download streaming that will spike over the next few days. All right. What's going on, Sir Hill? Amen. I know you're probably not prepared for this, but please feel free to come up. And I know you just came in. All right. So these are some of the dynamics of what I think we need to be paying attention to: long-term versus mid-term versus short-term, short-term versus mid-term versus long-term. Right? What is the effect of my behavior in the short term? There's a good chance, because I'm human, it's gonna feel right to act a certain way, and I'll get my instant gratifications, feelings in the moment, right? But there's a good chance that that's not gonna be the right move for the midterm to long term. I have to think that all the way through. That's part of vision as a man. It's your responsibility to know that. All right. So I'm gonna keep playing a second here.
Okay. All right.
I know her. I know her.
Did you have a relationship with her? I mean, do you have a friendship with her?
I know her. I probably have met her in all my life 3 times, only in the month of November, just here. Just right had events in America. One, I finished doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Then everybody's going to decide what the real story is.
Okay.
That is part 1. And then part 2 is, if you say there is a baby on the way,
Mm-hmm.
chill, no problem. Nobody's running anything.
Yeah.
So he said, if you say there's a baby on the way, he said, chill, no problem. Right? He said, chill, no problem. If you said there's a baby on the way. But he needs to say that to himself. Right? If he was chilling, he wouldn't be on the show. He's already in positioning is key in life. There's consistency. I always talk about consistency, right? Consistency is the key to life. Consistency is the key to success, right? You could go crazy, right? And then you're just going to crash and burn if you don't have consistency, right? But consistency, right? But here's the second part to consistency. You're a man like the rest of us. You're a human like the rest of us. You have to position yourself to help consistency, because sometimes you fall short. Okay? So by the very idea of him calling into this show to defend himself, he's trying to be his own solicitor, right? He's trying to be his own attorney, right? He's trying to speak up for himself. See, great men generally don't need to speak up for themselves. They are just kings. They're just great. Okay? If they ever need to speak for themselves, there's something terrible has happened. Crisis. People will defend you. People will solicit for you. And yes, sometimes you mess up, right? Even in the midst of mess up, as a great man, you seek the advice and the services of real life professional solicitors that learn how to package, again, game. They will package whatever, even if it's an apology, in the right way that will basically create a downstream effect of, in the mid-term to long-term, all is going to be well. So as you can see in everything I'm saying here, there's no judgment for him. He's just a man. He impregnated a fan lady as a gospel artist. People often think that gospel artist means you're a gospel minister. Those are two different things. Yeah, in the church, as a form of the culture in the church, they call all of them ministers. But it's bottom line is that these are human beings like the rest of us. Right? It's actually worse for them because their frame of reference is usually coming from this pedestal. And when they find themselves in a space of weakness, oh yeah, things can go wrong very, very, very quickly, right? Things can go wrong very, very quickly. Me as a normal guy, right? Sir Hill, those of us that we're not Kevin Samuels yet, right? Or we're not the Tasha K's of YouTube content creators yet, right? There's something about our mindset that's different when you get to that level. When you get to that level, you have to move a little bit differently, right? If you're a king, there's a way you're supposed to move because there's a lot of stuff at stake. To whom much is given, much is required, right? So it's gonna, like, a lot of your power lies in silence, your silent moments, right? Moments of solitude, they call it, right? moments of, that's when you gain power. You don't gain power when you're busy talking so much. You reserve your energy, right? You reserve your energy for strategic moments when it's necessary. And the more you grow in life, the bigger your platform gets, right? The more responsible for that you're going to be. Okay, you're a minister of God, you impregnated a young lady. Yeah. Ouch. Oops. Right? Yes. Right? But now the test continues. You're still being tested. Right? The next move, your reaction, your response is everything. And coming on a live show where 1,000 people are watching without understanding all of the, as much details as possible of what just happened, it's just a stupid move. It's just stupid. What it does is set you back all the way. Now you've created additional crisis that you need to manage. So if you look at some of the greatest, they are great because they don't answer to every little stupid thing. It's just like, listen, you're going to lose. The same thing with the relationship between a man and a woman. You have to pick your battles. You have to be strategic on how you respond to stuff. Okay? And if you think that you don't have to, in the name of you have to be direct, you will create additional crisis. That's what you're going to do. So you're creating more work for yourself, essentially. So it's very, very important that as men, we have to learn how to calm down. We have to learn how to move in this society. We have to learn that the ocean can work in your favor provided you know how to leverage the trend of the ocean. Okay? The ocean, it's not a matter of right or wrong. The ocean will absolutely destroy you if you don't learn how to leverage the trend. It will destroy you. You'll be dead in the water. You cannot compete with the trend of the ocean. What you can do is you can leverage it. That's all you can do.
When the baby is born, medical science is next door. Doesn't take 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
I will deal with that chapter.
All right. So yeah, I mean, we can arrange. Yeah. So we can arrange for you to come. If we'll talk later, and then we can arrange for you to come. Yeah.
Some people would say, "Hey, he did the right thing. He came here. He owned it about." Listen, I keep telling you, it's not about the right thing. Okay, the right thing is you do that for yourself, between you and God. Okay, it's not about the right thing. It's not about the wrong thing. Right? It's not about your righteous moral standards, all this kind of stuff. It's about the right move with respect to the environment you find yourself. Always with respect to the environment you find yourself. You have to pay attention to that if you don't want the forces of nature to work against you. Okay? Because you can't win like that. You have to win by leveraging the forces of nature in your favor. And you can apply this to every level. The next thing he started saying, just started to like we call it in Nigeria, started to mistalk and misfire all kind of stupid rhetoric. He started saying, oh yeah, we're going to make it big. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about my own side of the story. Bring all this blood. I was like, hey, shut the fuck up. You talk too damn much. A lot of men nowadays talk too much. They talk too much. And it's precisely because they're trying so hard to compete. I said this on the Sir Hill show. They're trying to compete with the ladies. They're trying to compete with Mother Nature, as opposed to leverage to get the results and become the greatest in the world, right? You have to pay attention to what's going on around you. You know? You have to pay attention to what's going on around you. Absolutely. So then he started to say, yeah, you know, we're going to bring all the shit. It's going to be bigger. You could just tell that he's running his mouth. I'm going to play that right now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll talk. Yeah. Thank you very much.
It's not a new thing. I'm available.
Okay.
And when you are done, I will speak with you and I will come on air.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
So he's making promises that he can't keep. He said he will come on air and speak with her.
I want to come on air. You are going to make it really big.
What do you mean?
Find a way to join in with a whole lot of bloggers that are available to join in that broadcast.
So this guy made a boo-boo. He impregnated a random chick. He slept with a random chick with no condoms on, right? He has a family at home, wife of 10 years, and he's over here talking about we're going to make it big, and he's continued to dig deeper hole for himself. It's just rambling on and on. And that's what happens. That's what happens when you don't maintain your frame and go back and sleep over it. Relax. You're not in a rush. You're a king. Crisis will happen, but you're making things worse and worse and worse. We're gonna make it big. We're gonna host. Now he forgot that he's no longer a minister. He fell off of the pedestal already by his actions, right? But he's now, you can hear the preaching sound in his voice. He thinks he's preaching now, right? We're gonna make it a whole lot. Like, people do this all the time, and that's what happens. I found myself in that situation before, right? As a matter of fact, the infamous sign language thing, I was in that position for a short period when I was on the lead attorney. The right move is to relax, let it simmer. Don't respond. You don't need to respond to everything. It's not necessary. In the short term, you may look like a loser. In the long term, you win. In the mid to long term, you win. As opposed to babbling around the bush and creating word salad and just the need to be right. The need to be right. The need to be right. It just gets worse and worse and worse.
So that it can be global.
This lady has a platform. I don't know how many subscribers she has, but she has 1,500 people watching at any point in time. And he's talking about it's going to make something global. See, then the lady started to ask, like, he's really, really arrogant. He's really, really just an arrogant person. And what I'm speaking to is humility. The balance between humility and confidence is all I am talking about. We're human beings. We are spirits. We have incredible radar for bullshit. We can smell it. We can smell it. A lot of times we don't know what we're smelling, but we can smell it, right? A lot of times we may not be able to pinpoint what we're observing, but once you find yourself in a position that you're attracting masculine energy from a lady, you have at least one choice. You can remove yourself. You can either remove yourself or actively listen and try to observe. What the hell is that masculine energy coming from? Once you start to say, well, I gotta check her, you lost control. It's just gonna get worse and worse. It's just gonna get worse and worse and worse. Right? Because you don't understand leverage. You don't understand that power, leverage, they go hand in hand. Right? Power is not about what you can do with your own fist. It's about learning how to leverage the resources at your disposal, even when that resource seems like it's negative on face value. Right? That's what it's about. That's what it's about. So, thank you, Just Jay. Thank you, Sir Hill. Thank you, Common Sense. Those are the 3 people that I saw in the comments. This is the first of its kind. Just because of you, I really, really, really enjoyed it. Okay? I really, really enjoyed it. I am absolutely coming back every week. I will be chopping up these videos into little pieces. I am using the Lapeef Network formula. I'll be chopping them up. I'll be putting them out there. Please share, as they come. Please at least hit the like button as they come. And the audience here is trendy topics, manosphere, Nigerian, American, trending topics. And I will always bring it back to how, in my head, in my little stupid head, I think a man of prestige is supposed to move. If you're here, you're watching me, it's either you're looking to raise men of prestige or you are a man of prestige. Okay? It doesn't matter if you agree or you disagree with me. I want to learn from you. I want to steal all of the wisdom that comes from interacting with you. That's all I am looking to do. But I want to monetize the platform so I can afford to keep coming, because there's time, resources involved and stuff like that. I want to keep it going, but I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a killing by creating this platform. So I am excited for the future. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your support. Just Jay, please don't forget you're supposed to hit me up on Instagram. If you have your IG, you can also send it to one of my comments. I'll hit you up there as well too. So we can hopefully do some things together. But yes, I will be reacting to all of these videos here. I intend to continue to react to some of the videos, some of the things. If I disagree, I will react to it. We're gonna have fun doing it. We're gonna be respectful about how we do it. And yeah, thank you so much for coming here to hang out with me. And I will see you on the next one.
Thank you so much, the man of prestige. Shout out to my man Ola. Ola came up here and talked about the sign language, gave us his impression and gave us his speech on what he thought sign language was.
Hey! Wait! Hey! Wait! Hey! Wait! Get off of me, nigga!
Help me,
Fuck
yo.
wrong with you, nigga?
Come on. Where my glasses?
Get off of me before I drop your goofy ass again. Now beat that, bitch ass nigga. Pay for this shit. Hurry up.
No,
Pay
come
for
on.
that shit and hurry up before I drop your
Yo.
ass again. Touch me, then I'm
Yo,
gonna drop
stop
you.
video for they
Quit
help
touching
me. You got my key.
Quit touching
Somebody
me,
help
bitch.
you.
No,
Somebody help
come
you.
Hey! Wait! Hey! Wait! Hey! Wait! Get off of me, nigga!
Help me,
Fuck
yo.
wrong with you, nigga?
Come on. Where my glasses?
Get off of me before I drop your goofy ass again. Now beat that, bitch ass nigga.